Morning, everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with the Week 13 wrap-up. Make sure if you're late to this channel, I mean, it's already Week 13, but hit the subscribe button so you're part of the fun the rest of the way. And the fantasy football playoffs are beckoning after next week. And yesterday was just a wild, wholly unpredictable day across the fantasy football landscape. And listen, when you have Marcus Mariota, of all people, breaking fantasy last night, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you have a situation where halfway through the third quarter of the late afternoon games, you have JSN, Justin Jefferson, and Ladd McConkey, all with 0 receptions. Not to mention Josh Allen barely having more than a point in fantasy. It was just unbelievable how wild yesterday was, and very frustrated. I mean, if you owned any of those players, now ultimately it turned out okay for Ladd McConkey and Josh Allen. The other two, not so much, and we'll get to that. But let's go through all the games. We'll start with Carolina, and I've been saying this for weeks now. It is even going back to the end of last season. Bryce Young being taken number 1 overall by the Panthers was mocked from here to kingdom come by yours truly, everybody else. It was so bad as a rookie. And C.J. Stroud had historically one of the greatest rookie debuts ever at the quarterback position. It looked like one of the most colossal mistakes of all time. From the end of their rookie season to now, you would take Bryce Young ahead of C.J. Stroud. I don't think there's any question about it. And last night was a perfect example. Young throws for 3 touchdowns against a Rams defense that has swallowed up everybody for the better part of the last 2 months. A Rams team that came in looking like the number 1 Super Bowl contender across the entire NFL, and he shred them up. 2 of those touchdowns come on 4th down. You talk about clutch. And listen, from a fantasy perspective, even in Superflex, Bryce Young is not that attractive. But he's getting the job done. He's excelling in the clutch, and he's got victories over not only the Rams, but the Green Bay Packers this season, the 2 premier teams in the NFC. I'm not throwing the Eagles in there. They got way too many problems. So Bryce Young getting it done. And the other big factor in this game yesterday is the running back situation. I did a separate video on this yesterday. So Chuba Hubbard now is making inroads and to retake the starting job from Rico Dowdle. So if you're a Rico Dowdle owner, you did not like what you saw. And no surprise here, really, if you think about it, because Hubbard is signed beyond this season. He signed an extension towards the end of last season. Dowdle will be free at the end of this year. And Dowdle looks like the last few weeks, that heavy workload in October is catching up with him. Averaged only 3.2 per carry on his 18 carries yesterday. Chuba Hubbard, meanwhile, on his 17 carries, so it's nearly a 50-50 split. He goes for 4.9. He catches a touchdown pass. Dowdle was just completely ineffective in this one. And so now going forward, if you're a Rico Dowdle owner, he's a flex play at best, whereas it looked like for a while he was a low-end running back 1. All right, Tedero McMillan, 1 single catch for 43 yards. And listen, this is not a big passing offense. So no criticism at McMillan. He's just doing, he's a victim of this offense, right? Very run-heavy offense. But the only catch he made goes for a touchdown. Now, on the other side, Matthew Stafford was a mess. 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. Throws for 2 touchdowns. Both go again to Davante Adams. And remember what I said, over the summer. And excuse me for that. I have a little bit of a cold, so I apologize. I know it's not pleasant to listen to the sniffling, but I got to get through this. Davante Adams, 4 catches for 58 yards, 2 more touchdowns. I believe he's up to 13 and 14 on the season. And if you're a Puka Nacua owner, this has got to be very frustrating because he's getting the lion's share of receptions. He goes 6 for 72 in this one, no touchdowns. And that's the playbook I talked about in the summer. I said Davante Adams is one of the greatest touchdown producers at the receiver position in NFL history on a per catch basis, and that was going to be his shining light in this offense. Nacua is going to catch, between the two, 60% of the passes, and Adams going to get 40, maybe even more, 65-35, but Adams is going to get the lion's share of touchdowns, and that has absolutely happened and then some. All right? We had an injury scare for Kyren Williams, but he came back. He scored a touchdown. Blake Corum also scored a touchdown. If you're a Kyren Williams owner, you have to have Blake Corum on your team. I don't think there's any question about it. So just a wild one there. As the Panthers, now just a half game behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Speaking of Tampa, gutty 20-17 win over the Arizona Cardinals. Baker Mayfield, he still doesn't look right. We'll start with the Cardinals, though. Jacoby Brissett, 29 of 40, 301, 2 more touchdown passes. He has been a top 8 fantasy quarterback since becoming the starter. Listen, He's peppering all of his key guys. Trey McBride, again, 8 for 82 and a touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr. was 6 for 69. He was off to a big start before he injures his heel. It's always something with this guy. Michael Wilson, 3 for 36. He's clearly the third wheel when all three of these guys are on the field together. We're going to have to monitor Harrison, but it was good to see Harrison play well coming back. And listen, Jacoby Brissett, if you picked him up in Superflex, you're in a really good spot right now because he just keeps slinging it all over the field. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, still not right. He threw a touchdown pass in this one, just 194, runs for 27 yards. Bucky Irving. Wasn't sure how this was going to go, so I did a separate video on this, and it proved to be inaccurate. I really thought that they were going to use Sean Tucker and Rachaad White more than they did, but it was Bucky Irving all the way. Now, he only played 54% of the snaps, right? So that was them easing him in, but when he was on the field, they got him the ball almost every time. 17 carries for 61 yards. He scores a touchdown, 2 catches for 20 yards. Rachaad White did catch 3 for 22, and he carried the ball twice, but listen, the training wheels will be off next week for Bucky Irving. Get him back in there fully. Chris Godwin, 3 for 78. He looked like he had some good burst in this one. Emeka Ibuka goes 4 for 42. Neither guy scores. And Tristan Wirfs, of all people, scored. Emeka Ibuka, this has been going on for months. I keep lumping him in with Roma Dunze, but both of these guys, I don't know what the deal is. They've gone completely ice cold. It's very tough to rely on them right now the rest of the way. And eventually Mike Evans is going to be coming back as well, which is going to further complicate things for Ibuka. The Jets, 27-24 gutty win. Aaron Glenn is trying to get this team to buy into what he's selling, and I think it's working. And listen, the Jets insisted all along he was not just a throw-in, but Adonai Mitchell, former second-round pick for the Colts, he played a great game. He goes 8 for 102 and a touchdown. He caught a bomb, 52-yard bomb for Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor was very economical, as he always is. And the guy just wins games. He's won games throughout his career. He throws for a touchdown. He runs for another. In a super flex, you got to be desperate to play him just because the Jets are so bad. But Adonai Mitchell, with Garrett Wilson being out, he might be a wide receiver 3 the rest of the way. Breece Hall did virtually nothing other than score. He was lucky to score a short touchdown, 2 catches, 68 yards rushing. Not much happening here. For the Falcons, listen, Kirk Cousins is what he is. He's coming in. He's getting the ball to his playmakers, right? Bijan Robinson. This is the top 2 Bijan Robinson draft pick. This is the kind of game you expected all along. He goes for 142. He scores a rushing touchdown. Of course, Tyler Algier also has to get a touchdown in there because why wouldn't he, right? But Robinson, 5 for 51 in the passing game. He is unstoppable when he has games like this. Kyle Pitts goes 7 for 82. No word yet on Drake London. He's got that PCL injury. Brock Bowers, it took him a month to get back, so we're going to have to check in on that during the course of the week. Miami Dolphins, 21-17. This was a frustrating game. The Dolphins went up so big in this one, and then they just went to shutdown mode and allowed the Saints to come back and cover this game if you were a better. And listen, but the Miami Dolphins are winning games again. Now, they're not beating anybody of significance. They're 5-7, but they're still in playoff contention. Tua throws for 2 touchdowns. He looks much more comfortable of late. Devin Achane, what can you say about this guy? 22 for 134. He scores every single week. Scores another one in this game on the ground. And shockingly, though, did not have any catches, but that was because the Dolphins went up so big in this one early. They didn't really need to throw the ball. Jalen Waddle, 3 for 40. In the passing game, so not much fantasy help outside of Devin Achane, who's been a top 3 running back all season. Tyler Shuck, listen, he throws 2 touchdowns and he gets one to Chris Olave. If Chris Olave is scoring, that's what you want every week. He goes 4 for 47 there. Devin Neal, I told you not to bother with him. He didn't do much of anything in this. He caught a couple of passes, but really nothing to see here from a fantasy perspective. They need Alvin Kamara to get back hopefully next week. Houston, this was a gutty win for them, 20-16 over the Colts. Daniel Jones, listen, all the respect in the world for Daniel Jones. He's playing with a fractured fibula. I mean, Jesus, it's amazing to me that he's still out there. But he throws 2 touchdowns in this one. He definitely is laboring. He's not running at all, and he's not going to run the rest of the season. So if you are relying on Daniel Jones at Superflex, it could be a little dicey. Jonathan Taylor fought really hard for his 85 yards on the ground. It hasn't been easy for him lately because now teams are starting to stack the box. He caught 3 passes for 36. Alec Pierce, he's going to get paid in the offseason, 4 for 78. Tyler Warren goes 3 for 22, but he catches a touchdown. And again, Michael Pittman was left behind here. There's not a lot of there's a lot of targets and only 2 are going to show up each week. Let's put it that way. All right, CJ Stroud, no touchdown passes, throws an ugly interception. Like, they're just winning in spite of him right now. Woody Marks gets 19 carries for 64 yards. He's not very efficient. Nick Chubb wasn't either on his 9 carries, so it's still the Woody Marks show. Nico Collins had a rushing score, 5 for 98. It was good to see him involved here. And Dalton Schultz remains a PPR cheat code, 7 for 55 at the tight end spot. Moving into the Jacksonville Jaguars 25-3. Listen, it looks like the coach has got things where he wants them now. Now, granted, it was against the Titans, but Trevor Lawrence is playing better. All right, he throws 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I know he threw the ball all over the place last week. 3 for 25 on the ground. He had a 2-point conversion. Travis Etienne was abysmal in this game, 12 for 28. They couldn't get nothing going on the ground against the Tennessee Titans of all teams. Bashal Tutin, same thing. Jacoby Myers, though, staking his claim to the number 1 spot in this offense, 6 for 90. Brian Thomas Jr., 2 for 28. I mean, listen, he's already hit this, no matter what he does from here on in, Brian Thomas Jr. cemented himself as one of the biggest draft busts of 2025. I don't think there's any question. Like, he's just been that bad. He has shown nothing that what he did with Mac Jones last year. I mean, just nothing. I'm not going to talk about the Tennessee Titans. There's nothing to talk about there. San Francisco 26-8 over the Browns. The Browns are a mess. Shadur Sanders is just so distracting with this guy. I don't know why they even bothered there. I know Harold Fannin scored, but big deal. Brock Purdy played a little bit better. He didn't throw the ball all over the yard. Threw one touchdown, no interceptions. Christian McCaffrey, his weekly touchdown, but only 2.7 per carry. If you don't believe me, I've been saying this every week now since September. If you don't believe me that Christian McCaffrey has lost a step, I don't know what you're watching. His yards per carry is way, way, way down, but 4 for 21 in the passing game. He's getting it done from a PPR perspective. George Kittle, 4 for 67. He doesn't score. So the 49ers continue to win games there. Late afternoon game, Seattle 26-0. Listen, this if you're a JSN owner, you had to be beside yourself, right? A lot of JSN owners probably were trailing in their matchups going into the afternoon, needed a game from him, and he gets 2 for 23. This is a guy every week who's putting up over 100 yards in his sleep, and he goes 2 for 23. Sam Darnold, something's going on here. 128 yards passing. I know they didn't need to throw it much, but man, he's been just completely scattershot. And then you look at the Minnesota Vikings, and listen, I don't want to kill the kid. All right, I don't want to be unkind to the kid, but Max Brosmer, that might have been the worst NFL start I have seen a quarterback maybe ever play in the NFL. 19 of 30, 126, 4 interceptions, and they were like hideous. The one that got returned for a touchdown, you don't do that in Pee-wee football. Just flips it up there like that as he's getting sacked. I don't want to be unkind. There was a kid on Arizona. If anybody remembers this, post in the comments below. The previous worst quarterback performance I've ever seen was a guy on Arizona. Had to be about 10 years ago. I don't remember his name. I'm going to have to look it up. He made one start. He never did anything in the NFL, and it was as hideous as this. Or maybe taking a back seat now to this, because that's how bad this kid was. And listen, Kevin O'Connell, he's a smart coach. He's going to have to take the hit on how he allowed not only Daniel Jones, but Sam Darnold to exit the building and going with the crap that he went with at the quarterback position. Unfathomable to me. Also unfathomable, Justin Jefferson, 2 catches for 4 yards. 2 catches. Your best player, 2 catches for 4 yards. How does that happen? I mean, and he's not going to get fired, but Kevin O'Connell absolutely should get flogged for all of this that's going on in Minnesota. And listen, I said this. Excuse me, I didn't say, Matthew Berry said this, but I echoed it on this program. Would you rather have Wan'Dale Robinson or Justin Jefferson the rest of the season? I think you can have that conversation. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. The Chargers 31-14. The big story here over the Raiders, the big story here is Justin Herbert has a fracture. in his left hand or wrist area. He's going to have surgery. He may not miss any time. And boy, do they need him. When Trey Lance comes in, the offense goes completely in the toilet. Nobody does anything. Ladd McConkey, caught a touchdown pass. He's not getting the targets again. He went through that mini spurt in the middle of the season. He's just not getting the targets again. But Herbert, gutty performance, throws 2 touchdowns. Kamani Vidal goes for 126 and a touchdown. Listen, Omari and Hampton's coming back next week. If you're an Omari and Hampton owner and you've been waiting with bated breath for him to come back, he might be splitting carries with Kamani Vidal because Kamani Vidal's been really good. All right, Keenan Allen, you haven't been playing him for weeks. He goes 4 for 30, 4 for 39 for Ladd McConkey. He scores. Arondé Gadsden, 1 for 27. He's an old story now. As far as the Raiders, it's a mess. Your generational running back goes 15 for 31. He's hit every time out of the backfield. He does go 6 for 30 in the passing game, but it's been ugly. Brock Bowers, meanwhile, 4 for 63. His second touchdown catch, he had 2. It was just ridiculous. Make sure you go watch it. And last but not least, for the afternoon games, Buffalo 26-7 over Pittsburgh. The Steelers had this game early on. They were, defense was playing well. Josh Allen came alive late. Rushes for a touchdown, throws for another one. James Cook goes 32 for 144. He gave 32 carries for James Cook, who's not the biggest back in the world. A little scary. He did catch 3 for 33, so he got it done there, but nothing else. This passing game is in trouble for the Bills. It just doesn't look crisp. This does not look like a Super Bowl team. The Steelers are a mess. Aaron Rodgers showing his age, so it's just ugly all around there. So, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you thought about any of these games. Post in the comments below, and we will chat soon.